feel like food stamps should be mandatory for mothers that have one or more child. Stay with me now. If we are qualified to receive a certain amount of money during tax time, as long as we don't go over that income bracket, we should qualify for food stamps every month for these children. I have two boys. Food hate to see them coming. When I say I stay in Walmart, Walmart need to go ahead and sponsor me. Because I be up in there every other day. I just made groceries a few days ago. I had to go back to the store today. So all I'm saying is, if we are entitled to claim our children on our income taxes every year so we can receive a little bit of extra money, I need the government to have that same energy, and I need them to give us at least $100 per child.
What y'all want me to say? What you want me to say, bro? You want me to teach a class? Okay, I'll teach a class. Number one, tax returns are not the government giving you money. That is your money being returned back to you if you have overpaid based off of the amount of dependents that you have and the amount of income that you make. Okay? So that is what tax return money is. It is not the government giving you free dollars. Number one. Number two, nobody should have to pay for your children. Stick with me now. And we got to learn how to say sure. We got to learn how to say, we got to learn how to speak effectively because I am confused. These are got to be Kamala Harris voters. Got to be Joe Biden voters. Have to be. And under all circumstances, you not going to tell me, and I'm willing to bet the house on it, that these are Democrat voters. That's number two. Number three, if you have children, meaning that it was intentional and you had to take multiple different steps before you had a child, and you opened up your legs to somebody in which I didn't hear her mention a father in any way, shape, or form, then that means that you should be responsible for taking care of them. Because number four, it's not the government's money, it's our money. We are the ones that are paying for your children when you get food stamps. And I am so thankful that the Trump administration decided that they wanted to clamp down on food stamps and not just give anybody and everybody money just because they asked for it. Because this is out of control. This is 100% out of control. This should not be happening at all. We should not be paying people or paying for other people's children to eat. I mean, why is this such a novel concept? When my daughter was born, the goal has always been to make sure that we are self sufficient and then to raise her, not under duress, not interdependent on the government, but to raise her to be interdependent on us until she's a adult. And then eventually, if she decides that she wants to leave at home, because I'm not the type of father that would ever kick my daughter out at 18 or be trying to push for her. My daughter could stay with me as long as she wants, 30, 40, whatever. I love having her around and she's always going to be taken care of. But again, that is because I've taken ownership and responsibility of what I was going to have. It is almost a super selfish thing for people to have children in the first place. So if you are going to have children, then it should not be other people's responsibility to ensure that your child is fed. What are y'all doing with y'all money? What are y'all doing with y'all money? Y'all get new cars. Y'all go on vacation. You do what you want to do when you want to do it. Can't nobody tell y'all nothing. Y'all feel entitled to be able to take off. Y'all out in the streets. If you go over into a lot of these predominantly urban areas, go over to Atlanta and see what the highways is looking like on the daytime. Ain't nobody at work. Everybody traveling. The highways is locked up. You know, usually if you live in a regular major city, the highways start to get a little bit more traffic when it's either vacation season or you have traffic going in or you have traffic going out. Now, obviously, that was pre-pandemic, and then this is post-pandemic, and so you're starting to see a lot more people get back to regular life, and so they're going into work and stuff like that. But in Atlanta, for example, and I'm not saying that she's from Atlanta, it sounds like she's from something Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? So I lost Cherry. Sound like she from some rural area, that back road. But in Atlanta in particular, everybody's on the highway at the same time. So here's my question, because again, I always like to use myself as an example because I have to hold myself accountable before I start to have these conversations with everybody else. I was very intentional, right? I was okay, and I'm very glad. I am incredibly thankful. Me and my daughter just came from having a drive together, and it was a great conversation. I was intentional, and so when I decided that, and again, in marriage, that I was going to have a child, I decided that I only wanted one. And the reason that I decided that I only wanted one is because I didn't want to split resources. I didn't want to have, and I didn't know, I was working towards it. I was very dedicated to making sure that I had a significant amount of resources. I didn't know I was going to have the amount of resources that I have today, but I was very intentional about the fact that I didn't want to split resources. I wanted to put every single thing that I could into her and give her every leg up and every opportunity to be successful. And I didn't want to depend on the federal government to make sure that she was fed. And so I made sure that that happened. And now that she's approaching the age of 18, I feel a sense of pride. I feel a sense of accomplishment because I'm very glad of the person that she wound up becoming. But how can y'all even have a sense of pride when I don't hear any father that's mentioned? And then on top of the fact that I don't hear a father that's mentioned, you're begging for somebody else to feed your kids. Think about this concept. And she thought she was cooking. She said, "Stay with me now." She says it should be mandatory for mothers to get at least $100 a month per child to feed that child. How about stop having children? We have all of the data and all of the statistics in the world to inform you how much it costs to raise a child, and the price is going up every single year. Why is it that the people that should not be having children have the most children? Why? Why is it that we are not teaching people to marry before they carry so that they have a less likely chance to depend on the federal government? And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that getting food stamps is a bad thing, because I believe that temporary assistance to bridge you from job to job and opportunity to opportunity, and then also making smart decisions. Don't go out there doing stuff that you're not supposed to do when you're dependent on the federal government and taxpayers to pay for your kids to eat. It's cool. I have no problem with it. The system is set up so that people that need it the most, elderlies, veterans, disabled people, people that are in between jobs, people that need it the most temporarily will be able to survive. I have no problem with that. That's what social services are for. But it's not an entitlement program. This is why we need the Department of Government Efficiency to come in and clean house. This is why Trump is starting to clamp down, because a lot of people have been taking advantage of the federal government, aka the taxpayers, aka you and me, so that they can get more back and so that they can feed their kids. I'm gonna be honest with you. Growing up, I knew a lot of people that sold their food stamps, 50 cents on the dollar, 75 cents on the dollar, depending on how desperate they were and who was buying at the time. I knew a lot of people that were selling their food stamps. They thought it was free money so that they can get real money so that they can go and make a shake for a real one. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. But I always like to link back to the content creator, so that'll be down in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this novel concept from this woman that said food stamps should be mandatory for mothers of at least minimally, not maximum, minimally of $100 a month per child.